Hi YouTube, Watchify here with another video. In this video, I thought I would briefly discuss the design influence the famous Rolex Submariner watch has had on other watchmakers and watch design in general, as I find that several watches in my collection share design cues from the Submariner. I was also at one point considering building my own Seiko Submariner mod or purchasing a pre-built custom, which I know many people have done. I ultimately decided to go a different route and modify some elements of my Seiko SKX009 to evoke the spirit of the Submariner while hopefully retaining enough Seiko aspects so that it's not trying to simply be a copy. So I'll go over that as well. I am by no means a Rolex Submariner expert. I just know that it's a very popular and sought after watch that currently costs well over $10,000. Pre-owned for the basic 124060 reference and about $50,000 for specialty models like the 18 karat white gold references. It seems that the 41mm case size is the classic case dimension. You see the H shape with flat polished sides, short lugs, a 3 o'clock crown surrounded by crown guards, and the sloping lug side profile. The bezel groove pattern is distinctive, as is the classic bezel insert design, which shows minute marks only from 1 to 15 and a raised lume pip at 12. The dial indices shapes as well as the Mercedes style hands are also instantly recognizable, along with the oyster style bracelet. So what are your options if you really like the Submariner design but don't want to spend over $10,000 on a real Rolex? Well, the good news is you have several options. First off, like I mentioned, you won't have any trouble finding more affordable brands and models that borrow design elements from the Submariner, so you can get that general look without wearing an outright Rolex copy. In my collection, you can see the Submariner influence here with the Seiko Solar Prospex SNE583. It has a smaller 38mm case size, and the bezel and insert types are different, but overall you can see the similarities. This is a bona fide 200-meter dive watch that currently costs between $300 and $400 new. Another well-known Seiko model, not currently in my collection, but that homages the Submariner, is the Seiko SNZF17, also known as the Sea Urchin. Here again, you are seeing the Submariner influence with the case and now even the bezel design, but the Seiko uses a different handset and the bezel insert is similar but not copying the Rolex layout. This is an older and I believe discontinued Seiko model that can still be found new and pre-owned for just under $300. Of course, there's also the ultra affordable Casio Marlin 200-meter quartz diver. Here I've placed mine on an aftermarket oyster style bracelet, and you can see clearly a more direct effort from Casio to look like the Submariner here, with the case shape, indices, bezel, and insert all drawing cues from the Submariner. The thing that makes the Casio stand out as not being a Submariner is the larger 43mm case size and the handset. So if you have a larger wrist, you'd be getting the Submariner look for a mere $50 to $60. Onto my SKX009 Submariner mod. I chose to use the Mercedes hands, a Submariner style bezel and ceramic Submariner bezel insert. I added a brushed stainless steel chapter ring and a flat sapphire crystal. And finally, I combined it with an aftermarket oyster style bracelet that I had to complete the look. So here I think I'm taking the Seiko SKX, which is a classic in its own right, and adding enough Submariner elements to make it look like a far more expensive watch than it is, but it's still got the Seiko SKX case with its 4 o'clock crown, and it's got the full day and date complication rather than just date. It's because of this that I decided to not add a Cyclops, as it would have needed to be the larger candy bar shaped Cyclops that I don't think would have looked good here. I don't think this would ever happen, but if someone mistakenly thought I was wearing a Rolex Submariner, I would just explain that it's a classic Seiko model that I modified to look similar to the Submariner. Now, if you really want to take it further, you could build your own watch to basically be a one-to-one copy of the Submariner, at least in appearance. All the parts you would need are available from WatchMod part retailers. I added all the parts needed to my cart at nomokimods.com, and it would come out to over $394. And that isn't counting the time I would need to assemble the watch. So it may make better sense to purchase a pre-built custom one. These sell for around $300 on eBay, and there's some other internet sellers that have models that start out at $250. If you get one of those watches and like wearing it, great, that's all that matters. But for me personally, I think these watches are getting into the territory of looking so much like a Rolex Submariner that people will think that that's actually what you're wearing. When they ask you about it, you would have to explain that it's a custom-built copy made to look almost exactly like the Rolex. This would also happen if you got any of the other various Submariner homage watches, like the ones from some brands on AliExpress, like Pagani Designs, or even higher-end homages like the Steinhardt Ocean 139. The latter being a very fine watch, I hear, but still nonetheless a Submariner homage and thus not an original design. In the end, the fact remains that most people do not have the means to spend $10,000 to $20,000 on an actual Rolex Submariner, or maybe they can afford it but just don't want to spend that much money on a watch. These homages have their place as being an affordable alternative to get you that Submariner look without the huge price tag. I'd like to know your opinion on the various Submariner homages and Submariner inspired watches. Would you rather just avoid them and wear the real thing, or do you think it's crazy to spend that much money on a watch when there's so many other affordable alternatives out there? Let me know in the comments. That's going to be it for this video. If you found it helpful or interesting, feel free to leave a like, comment, or consider subscribing. Of course, I wanted to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in another video.